welcome to Hidden Pearls Inspiring Stories podcast. Today, we have a very talented local author whose heartfelt writing resonates deeply with many of us who are experiencing, pain, seeking solace and strength. Her book, I have it here, When You Think You're Falling, is a profound exploration of reconnecting with faith and discovering Allah's mercy even in the depths of hopelessness. So Ameera's words will inspire readers as well as you listeners to reflect, rebuild, and find renewed purpose, reminding us that failure is often the beginning of growth, spiritual or emotional. Her journey and message are a testament to the power of faith and resilience in overcoming life's challenges. So today I present to you Ameera Aslam. Hi, welcome to another episode of Hidden Pearls Inspiring Stories. And today we do have a very inspiring person with us, and I am so excited to introduce her to you. Now, she is our local homegrown author who has made it big not only here but in Malaysia as well. So let me now introduce you to Ameera Aslam.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, alaikum salam. Okay, Ameera, hang on, okay? I'm actually quite a fan girl of yours. Okay? I have your book here with me. Now, this is the book. You all must get it. But before that, you got to listen to our podcast first, lah. So you know why I have invited Ameera over. Now, Ameera and I, actually, we go a long way back. Eh, Ameera?
Yes.
It's so mashallah, because when I wanted to drop her a message, I realized that in our WhatsApp that she has also WhatsApped me in 2018, and she said, "Hey, I just sent you $50 via DBS Paylah." So I'm like, "Oh wow." So now my question to you is, what did you buy from me in 2018, Ameera?
You had a promotion for your Pelista shampoo and conditioner. And my friend was like raving about it. And so I had gotten it as well because I wanted to, like hijabis, we have our scalp issues, right? So I was like, yep, this is
Yes, I was totally blown away, mashallah. I mean, thank you for such an early support, because 2018 was one of our beginnings with rolling out our shampoos, and I think that one was a hair fall shampoo. So now we
Yeah.
have like different ranges. So I just want to thank you for being the first few strong supporters. So thank you so much. And now
Thank you.
it's about paying it forward as well. It's really divine intervention. So Ameera, maybe you want to give a brief introduction about yourself.
Okay, before I do that, I also want to say that I am a fangirl of yourself. And so when you first messaged me earlier in this year, I remember messaging my friends after that. Oh my god, guess who just messaged me? Kak Nora J just messaged me. And then they were all like, "Are you gonna get free shampoo?" I was like, "I'm not gonna answer that right now." But so me and my peers, we are all also big fans of you, mashallah. I hope your business and everything you do in your life will be blessed. So now on to my introduction. My name is Ameera Aslam. I am a writer, translator, editor, activist. I have many hats like many of us do. So I have 3 books out now. And like Kak Nora said, like my third book is the one that has been the most surprising, I think. I think it's my first non-poetry. So my first 2 books were poetry. So I think poetry, has a very niche audience. Not everybody can appreciate poetry. So it's been interesting to see people react to the third book the way that they have. Alhamdulillah. I think that's the lowdown on me. Alhamdulillah.
Mashallah, alhamdulillah. Okay, I'm not really a fan of poetry, but I can learn to like poetry. So because I'm your fan girl, I will get those books as well. Okay. Now, okay, Ameera, what actually inspired you to write this amazing book, When You Think You're Falling? Was there a particular turning point that moved you?
So that's the funny story. Is that I never set out to write this book. When we had meetings with the publisher, because they wanted me to write something with them, and I told them that I was working on travelogue, and I was like pitching my idea, right? I was like, okay, this is what I want to write, and then I was just telling them my ideas and stuff, and then over several meetings, they were like, you know what? We think that you should write a book on istiqamah. And I was like, huh? Me? Istiqamah? I'm not istiqamah. And then they were like, no, you are. And they were saying how like I like they think that I should write about it because I have shown in my life that I've always wanted a relationship with God. And in my head, I was like, "Dorang betul ke apa ni?" I'm like, I'm so the last person to talk about istiqamah. Like, I literally don't have it. And I think there's a real lesson in there, which is that we really need other people to be mirrors to ourselves because we are very hard on ourselves, right? And in my head, I'm like, I'm forever struggling. I don't have istiqamah. I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that. And because we really want to get better, we sometimes forget to stop and celebrate our wins, or like we don't actually know what our strengths are. And it needs an outsider to like, no, actually, we don't know you all these years, but from what we've heard or what we've seen, this is obvious to us. But to us, for ourselves, when we look in the mirror, we're like, no, aku ni macam like struggling all the time, like blah 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 blah. But we are not honest about our strengths. We are very good at listing out our flaws. Very good. I can tell you right now 5 things that I need to work on. But to tell you what I think I'm good at, I will never list istiqamah as one of it, right? It required someone outside of me to tell me. And so, even though I wasn't like, I was like, I don't know if I can write this book, but I will just try. I will just try. And so, the more I spoke to others and the more that I wrote it, my editor would be like, every time I submitted a chapter, she was like, this is amazing. Everybody needs to read this. And I was like, you cool. It's like I did not set out to write this book. And so, like when you ask me whether there was a turning point, the thing about istiqamah is that it's not a 3-point turn, it's a 25-point turn. Like you keep having to just keep having to do it. And people think that istiqamah is just like one time and then that's settled. It's like autopilot. But no, it's the fact that you have to choose it every single day. You have to keep making that decision that you want to pivot because of the destination. And it's not about the current what is happening, but about taking a long-term view of your goals and your strategies and all those things.
Right. Okay. Now you mentioned istiqamah a lot. Okay, in your book and here, right now,
Yeah.
my personal understanding of istiqamah is about being consistent. Like, for example,
Yeah.
if I want to have healthy hair, I need to have a consistent hair care routine at home. Shampoo and
Yep.
conditioners not enough. I need to have the mask. I need to go to the salon every 6 to 8 weeks. So that is
Yep.
my idea of istiqamah, about consistency. If I want to lose weight, I need to do my daily walk and exercise. Okay, but I feel that in your book, right, you mention a lot about istiqamah, but you also mention how it is always misunderstood. So is there a deeper dimension to this?
Yeah. So there's two things that I will say about istiqamah. So one, you are right that it is about consistency. Yes. But there's a misconception about how consistency looks like, and what we have understood to be consistent is we equate it to perfection. So, for example, if we use your example of the shampoo and whatever, right? If we say that, okay, I've done these things and use the conditioner, and then I go to the salon, and then 1 month I forget, or 1 month I can't make it, we're like, I'm such a failure. I don't have istiqamah. But hell, it's just 1 month. Relax lah. Like you can continue next month. It's like it's not the end of the road. But we are so hard on ourselves when we just lose that one thing that we feel that okay, now everything that came before did not matter. And so now I'm just like, oh, I'm back to square one and all those things. And so the word istiqamah comes from the Arabic word qiyam, which is um, they use it in the Quran to say establish prayer, not just to stand up for prayer. So it's establish, and establish means that it's something that you do repeatedly, right? And so that's where the consistency and steadfastness comes in. But I like to use this other example that came to me just before our chat. Is I was thinking about when we are driving, and then we put in the GPS, right? And then we're like, okay, we know we need to get to point B, and then we're driving, and then there's construction on the road. And then we think that istiqamah means no, mati-mati, I need to go through this road. I cannot go any other road. I have to go through here. But you cannot. You literally cannot because it's construction, right? But we think that if I'm istiqamah, that means I will just barge through. But the true meaning of istiqamah is like, okay, GPS say instead of going straight, you must turn right. You have to, go past the obstacle. But we're like, no, if I don't go through this road, that means I'm a failure. But no, actually, it's okay. You cannot also. Just go. Go to the right, turn left ke, even if it takes longer. But the whole point is you want to get to the destination. And it's not really so much about and I don't want to say that it's not about how we get there, because how we get there is also important, but because we have limited the idea of istiqamah to be doing this one action, but istiqamah is more about the attitude of not giving up rather than doing the same thing repeatedly even when it's actually impossible and not the most wise way to get to your destination. So that's my two things. One is
Right.
that we have a different understanding of consistency, or it is to be consistent, but also it's to be wise and like take a step back, and like it's really not so much about what to do, what you're doing, but more of the attitude of to be istiqamah is to have the attitude of not giving up. That's more important.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, I think it's so beautiful. It's about not being rigid. It's about being flexible, but keep moving forward in that sense,
Yeah,
eh? Wow, oh
exactly.
my God. I think it has changed my perspective too, to be less hard on ourselves as well.
We are so hard
Yeah.
on ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. Now there's this analogy in your book,
Yep.
which, according to you, right, like spiritual connection should not be like a game of snake and ladders, right? Right? But I read it, the way it resonates with me is it was, yeah, spiritual connection to Allah feels like a game of snake and ladders to me, because one time we are up and then after that we are down, we
Yeah.
experience spiritual burnout. So that is how I actually understand from that analogy lah. So maybe you want
Yeah.
to explain more about how this highlights our journey of faith.
Yeah. So I think the reason why I went through spiritual burnout or just feeling so despondent and hopeless is because I had belief that my spiritual journey is like a game of snake and ladders. I'm like, I go. I'm like, now I level 24 and then I go to 79 and then I landed on 99 and then there's a snake there and brrr, and then I'm like back at square one like I mentioned before, right? And that's why I feel like bila nak game say like I'm never going to get to 100 because I keep having to restart. But our spiritual connection with Allah is not like a game of snake and ladders. For him, it is first of all, it's not a game, right? And I think we need to get out of that thing. But what I think really helped me is I think my biggest the thing that has helped my spiritual connection with Allah is to know that this is dunya. I am supposed to be tested. And I'm
Okay.
like, and because I expect this place to be good and perfect. Okay, I don't expect it to be perfect, but I don't expect it to be hard all the time. And which is I think helps me later on is that if I have the expectation like, look, life is supposed to be hard, then I'm like, when it's hard, I'm like, okay lah, memang lah, it's supposed to be hard. And we forget that like whatever that we have been through has made us stronger, right? And but our test will continue to get bigger. But we think that we are still weak because we are still struggling. But the reason we are struggling is because our tests are bigger, because we are stronger, right? And so we cannot get to the next level until we increase in our uh, spiritual practices and stuff like that. So macam okay, if I in secondary school, if I manage to do 5 prayers a day, to me it's like wow, that's amazing because last year I only did 3 prayers a day. But now, as a 37-year-old woman, if I think that like, oh, I'm praying 5 prayers a day tu macam like, wow, that's amazing. I'm like, no lah, actually no, it's not amazing because you are so much grown now. The things that you're facing in your life are greater and you need to strengthen yourself. I need to increase in my Quran. I need to, instead of just the 5 prayers, I need to do the before and the after. I need to wake up for tahajjud at least once in a while, if not every day because I cannot. Not that I cannot, but I'm not strong enough yet. But like, I have to understand that like, because it's a long-term goal, and the things that we are facing are bigger and more different. Therefore, we have to also grow. But because we don't know, Like we cannot compare, right? Like our the size of our test, we don't see it like that. Everything feels like difficult and everything feels overwhelming. But it's only because we are stronger and therefore we need bigger tests to get to the next level. But in my head, I'm just like, I'm going nowhere. I am struggling all the time. And my point was like, I had to reach a point to like, it's a good thing that you're struggling because you are supposed to be struggling. But because people always, we think that once we get to the level, if our iman is finally strong enough, then everything is going to be easy. Like Allah is going to bless us or whatever. But I wrote a poem about how it's spiritual immaturity to see blessings to be more preferable to us than tests. And Allah has already said that He tests those He loves. And so if you want blessing but you don't want the test, then like cannot lah. You have to want it. But of course it's easier for me to say now lah. When you're going through a test, you're like, Allah, I cannot anymore, I cannot. And so it's always
Right.
easier. That's why when you are going through an easier phase, that's why you need to really strengthen all your other spiritual practices, so that when the test come, you're like, okay, okay, okay. I was preparing for this, so I don't have to panic. Even though you still feel like
Right.
it's hard, but you don't panic and feel like you cannot handle it. And also, it's like, okay,
Right.
I have a thing to say about this whole self-help genre, which is in
Mhm.
the whole idea of help is that it requires somebody else. So there's no such thing as self-help. You cannot help yourself. Even the word itself it cannot. And so even in Islamic thing, and I think like this self-help thing is a very Western and modern concept, right? Because we think that it's all on our shoulders. We have to be the one. Everything is up to us. But in the Islamic, obviously not just Islamic, but even before this, like people knew that we needed each other, but also that we definitely need God lah. So like because of this whole self-help modern view of I, that we feel more hopeless because we think it's up to us. But actually, no lah. You have to give it back to Allah. He is the one who can do everything. And if we are going to put it on our shoulders, our tiny weak shoulders yang tak boleh buat apa-apa, we cannot carry anything without His help. Then that's why we feel so overwhelmed and like that we cannot do it because we expect ourselves to do it when la hawla wala quwwata illa billah, right? Like there is no strength and power except Allah. So why are you putting it on you? You should just give it back to Him and like, and I think that's the other thing. There's the two things that I would say about that is that one, it helps me once I realize that this life is, you are supposed to be tested. This is not dunya. We are working here so that we can finally rest in akhirah, inshallah. And number two is that I'm not meant to face everything by myself. I need my friends. I need my spiritual practices. I need Allah to help me every single moment. Like even just right now speaking, we all need His help every single moment, right? It's not like, it's okay, Allah, I will give you my big problems. The small problems I can handle myself. No such thing. Like for me, it's like now I'm like, even if, there's a hadith, that one of my favorite hadiths recently is the Prophet SAW said that ask Allah even for your shoelaces, something like that. And I'm like, huh? Shoelace pun I mean Allah ke? You know what I mean? Like we have the idea in our head, like, okay, when I can't face something, when it's too big, then I will ask Allah for it. But the small things, it's okay, Allah, I got it. I will handle it. But for him, it's like, no, the Prophet himself said, ask Allah even for the smallest things like salt or even like your shoelaces. You know what I mean? Like it's so small. You think that I don't want to bother Allah with my small problems. But the point is like, He's trying to remind you that you cannot do anything. You need. Mhm. So
Oh my
that's
God.
my.
Yeah. Now you make me feel like as if we are puppets in this world, everything has been arranged by Allah. Right. And I think the takeaway from here is also that nothing is permanent. I love it when you say, like, when we experience joys for ourselves, embrace that, feel that, so that
Yes.
when the not so happy moments come, you know that it is going to pass as well, that you are
Yes.
going to go through this and grow through this. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think, yeah, that's very lovely, Amira. Okay, now
Thank you.
apa macam, like, okay, there's also one. Okay, you're speaking about facing setbacks, now
Yeah.
every time when we feel like we have failed in life, when we experience a setback, right, the first question will always be, oh my, why is this happening to me? It's always on the self, right? We are always hard on ourselves. So but I love it that you help us readers shift that focus from us to Allah, to Him, and instead ask two questions. I really love this a lot. The basic one is, okay, what is Allah trying to teach me? I love that. But I love how you progress that question to, how can I please Allah in this situation? So right
Yeah.
now, I'm very conscious. So when I face a setback, these are the two questions. What is Allah trying to
Mm.
teach me? And how can I please Allah? Now, maybe perhaps you can share a personal story or two about how reframing challenges, right, can lead to better healing.
Yep. I think I kind of answered that in the previous one a little bit about just understanding that like this realm of dunya is meant to be for tests, right? And so once you understand that, you don't take it personally. You don't be like, must be something I've done, must be this. Like you take it personally, and I like, and because of that, you become so hard on yourself. But actually, if you just, I mean, I know when I was growing up, also when I have my teachers, Asatiza, mentioned to me like, that the prophets are the one who are most tested, and then followed by blah 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 blah, right? And in my head, I'm like, they are prophets, okay lah. I'm siapa? Like, why you want to test me like this? I cannot handle it, you know. But it's, I think it takes a while. It takes a while after you go through several tests, and then you realize that Allah was always there during the blessings and even during the test. You were never left alone. You were always given, somebody had said something to you that helped, or there was just some ease in some other parts of your life, even if though this one category is not like you feel like it's stuck there. But like he never leaves us alone. And we just need to open our eyes and like look where is the help coming from, and stuff like that. But the other thing that I also wanted to say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. You were asking me about. Can you repeat the question again?
Like, is there any personal story, like for example, macam, like especially for maybe I can think, for a woman going through divorce, something that is so painful to them, but at this point of time they cannot see that it's actually
Oh,
it's,
right,
it's
right,
part
right.
of the plan, right? Yeah, that.
Yeah,
And then, like if years pass, if they look back, they kind of realize that, oh my God, Alhamdulillah, Allah saved me from that marriage, example.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so that's what I wanted to mention earlier, which is that one of my teachers mentioned this to me, and not to me specifically, but like in a class. So, but I was like, oh my God, she's talking about me, right? It's like that kind of moment, right? Where, like, we always like when something bad happens, we're like, oh my God, why me? But when something good happens, we like never think, why me? When we should lah. We're like, why are we only asking that? And that's the whole point, is that we need to detach the deservingness of it. Like, if you're not gonna ask why me when you get a big blessing, then why should you ask why me when it's a big test, right? And also, like, because it's not a helpful question at all. And like you said, like the helpful question is that what is Allah expecting of me in this moment? And that's something that we have learned from our scholars like Imam Ghazali and all these other scholars, who have said that like everything you go through in life, there is only two responses: either you are patient or you're grateful. There's no in between. If it's
Sorry, either you are what?
either you are
What the
patient
two?
or you are grateful. So, like, for a Muslim, there is no reaction outside of these two things. You are either supposed to be patient or you're supposed to be grateful. And so there's no in between. Like, you just have to choose. When something happens, okay, should I be patient or should I be grateful? No other option. Like, just those two. And everything is outside of that is not the ideal response. And so therefore it makes it easier for us to like, okay, now how can I be patient or how can I be grateful? Of course, I make it sound so simple, but the actual going through it is our hearts is like, like it's a whole difficult thing. But at least you know that like that is what is expected of you, and that is what Allah expects of you. And to get closer to Him, that's the two ways. Um,
Right.
Everything is obviously
Nice.
easier said than done.
Right.
You talk
Yeah.
about like like a personal story. I mean, there's so many things lah from my life, macam that I can think of. But I guess I can talk about, I'm also a divorcee. I mentioned it a bit in the
Yep.
book.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I did everything that was expected of me. Like, oh, I wore tudung when I was young. I go to class. I pray. I do all these things. why? And then, like, when meeting somebody new, I'm like, I prayed my istihara, I did shura, which means I asked my parents and, like, the elders, like, I'm like, check, 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 check. I did everything I was supposed to. And then I got divorced and I was like, what? And I'm just like, but I did everything right. And so that, I think that's why I really, really, really had to contend and really, when I write about things like, it's not about what we deserve. It's because I literally had to go through it myself, right? I'm like, no, but I already did what I'm supposed to. How come I still get this? And that's why I realized that my relationship with Allah for the beginning part of my life was a transactional thing. I'm like, okay, I obey you. You give me good things in life, right? And, like, I think I didn't realize that I had that in my head until the divorce happened. Because I was like,
Right.
I had that expectation, right? I was like, I did what you asked me to do, but then you give me this, which I didn't want. I had imagined my entire life really happy with, like, grandchildren and whatever, and now, like, my whole life is just turned upside down. It's not what I ever wanted for myself. And so there was a lot of bitterness and grief, obviously, and just a lot of anger. And I realized I was, like, very angry at God, and I was like, I cannot be angry at Him, but I really am. And so,
Yeah.
that's why I had to get out of that thing, right? And that's why I'm very grateful to my friends, who, like I said, we need mirrors, we need people. We cannot do this on our own. And so, just people to remind us that there is goodness still, and to remind yourself of your own goodness. Like, because I already have a list of reasons why this is my fault, or why some must be my past sins and my whatever, 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 which is all not helpful to heal. To heal, I need to have hope. I need to believe that there's something better coming, that, that I'm deserving of goodness in my life, no matter what has gone before. And I think for me, I felt like, because I knew of my sins, my past sins, right? I was like, I didn't pray this time around, or like, what, I did all these things before, that I had believed that I was not deserving of goodness. And I had this weird thing at that time. This is over a few years, and I had for several years, I believed that, like, okay, if Allah punish me here in this dunya, that is preferable to me than if I get punished in the hereafter, right? And so that
Right.
means that, like, like, subconsciously, I think that I had set myself up for failure, which is a hard thing to now talk about. I think it feels very abstract. Um,
Oh, it's very
but
deep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
It's
it takes,
very deep. But okay.
yeah. When I talk about these
Yeah.
things, right, I take it as if, like, it's so easy, but these were things that you go through over years, and, like, with therapy, friends, with a lot of things. But, like, because it's a conversation, I'm, like, talking about it as if, oh, it was just this, it's just that.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of
Because
things that go into it. Yeah.
Yeah, because what you mentioned here is upon reflection, right? Because
Yeah,
when you're in
hindsight.
that moment, it's really
Yeah.
very, 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 very tough. Now you mentioned
Yeah.
about your close support, your friends, right? Now for those close to someone going through a hard time, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, right? If my friends are going through a hard time, I am very two extreme persons. Either I shut down because I want to give them the space. I feel that I shouldn't be interfering in their family life or their marital life, right? Or
Yeah.
I go to being very uneggy and give all the advice that I can do, and and the frankness unfortunately will lead to my friend like being offended, like, oh my god, dia ni tak ada filter ke? So
Mm.
how, where do you find that balance, the best way to offer support and encouragement?
Uh, I honestly, looking back, when my friends were, because they kept asking me, like, hey, come, let's go out, like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, 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 I don't want, I cannot. Because when you're in a deep, dark space, you feel like you don't want to infect other people with it also. And, like, you're just not in the mood, honestly, right? And mashallah, Allah bless my these two friends of mine. They would just turn up at my doorstep at my parents' house. They're like, sorry, too bad, we are here already. And they were like, just get in the car. We are going to bring you out. And I'd be like, oh, whatever, fine. And stuff. And so in that moment, I did not appreciate it, because I was like, you're in my face. I don't want you to be in my face, because I want to be lying in bed and cry for the next 3 nights. But again, in hindsight, I was like, obviously that was a good thing, that they did, even though in the moment I was not appreciative of it. And so I'm not saying that And also, I think it depends on your friendship, right? Macam this one is like, I've known them for like 15, 20 years. So, like, they know my address, so they can just turn up to my doorstep. And like, my parents knew them. And so it's different. I think like, when we have friends going through things, we have to also assess like, okay, which level of closeness we are with them. And then, but it's always a risk. I think friendship, which people don't talk about, is that it's always a risk that we take. Um, when we want to show our care and concern, and we don't know how it's going to be taken. And so, and sometimes the risks will pay off, and sometimes it doesn't. But like, you just have to, again, ask Allah, like, okay, guide me in this situation. How best can I help my friend? And like, you don't give up on the prayers lah. So that one is private, right? They don't have to know that you're praying for them. But I think for me, like, what really helps is just giving them that option, that look, I'm here if you want to talk, but I'm also like, you, so you're giving the space, right? So it's not completely like, I'm just going to disappear, but like occasionally just sending them a meme, thinking of you, or like,
All
I'm here,
right, I
so
see.
much it's like, so they know that you're still there, and they
Right.
can reach out to you. But like, because okay, during those years, even somebody asking me how are you, would like, I'm like, what do you expect me to say? Because I feel like now I'm pressured to say I'm okay, because I don't want you to worry, but I know that I'm not okay, and I don't even know how to explain what I'm going through. And so even though we think that like, the word how are you is like simple aja lah, you can just say whatever, but like, it comes with, the person who's, who's like at the bottom of the barrel, we feel that we need to say something to comfort the other person. And so to me, it was like, just don't ask me who I am, but like, just send me memes, just send me cat videos, send me food, and I know
Okay,
that you are cat. But it's different, right? So much you have to know your
your
friends
friend.
very. Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
know. Okay,
to know.
okay, what would they appreciate? And for me, it's like, okay, send me cat videos and memes, but don't ask me how are you, because it will send me into a spiral, because I'm like, oh, I don't know how I am, And so it's just giving them the option, I think, just for them to know that you're still there, but not forcing them to talk about it, and just making dua for them every day. It
Nice.
all, yeah.
Okay, now I when I because I don't really know you on a personal level, right? So I see you on social media, and I of course I admire how very calm you are. You're very calm, and I feel that that's because there's a lot of gratitude and contentment within. So share some tips, girl, on how you created this calm aura.
Alhamdulillah is all I can say. Ya Allah, may Allah make it real for me, and to make it, yeah, really. So like, when you said that, the image that I have in my head is of the duck on the lake, right? It looks so graceful swimming, but if you go underwater, it's like it's like the paddling like crazy, and I feel that's how I am.
Okay.
Of course, I'm a lot better. I feel like I am a lot calmer. It comes with age also, and stuff.
Hey, please,
But
you are not very old, eh? You are 37, okay?
yes,
Kita
I
dah
am.
club 40s, you know? You're still young, but a lot of
I
wisdom
am.
in you. Okay, go on, say sorry for interrupting. I just need to say it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I feel like I'm still uh I'm still anxious. I can get anxious and stuff, but I feel like I just wanted to say this, which is that I feel like all the most joyful, grateful, and calm people I've ever met have gone through the biggest losses in life. And I feel like I try to always remember that, like, when I was younger, I was like, because they've had an easy life, they're not tested like I am, la 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 la. And then when I grow older, the more I speak to people, I realize like, dang, the smiliest, the most calm people that I've come across. If you just speak to them, you realize, man, they've gone through something that I would never be able to go through, and so what I can say is that we need to have what I like to refer to as a toolbox. And in this toolbox, you have to know what would grant you or give you calmness. And I think one thing that we forget is that as Muslims, that we think that we are just our souls. But no, we are souls and body and mind, right? We cannot avoid, like, our akal, our hearts, and our bodies are all interconnected, which means that so my teacher, mashallah, like I've seen this happen many, many times. Whenever people come to her with like, I have this spiritual problem, like, oh, I haven't been waking up for tahajjud. Can you make dua for me or whatever? She always tell them, have you gone for a medical checkup recently? And I always like, apa kena mengena medical checkup with it? But she says a lot of our issues stems from us not taking care of our bodies, and it will have a spiritual effect, right? And so, and I think that's something that's hard for people to, because we are so used to hearing like, oh, make sure you pray tahajjud or make sure you read your Quran every day and whatever, which is all, yes, you need to do all those things, but you also have to make sure that you're drinking enough water because you know that not drinking enough water will cause you all sorts of other problems. And then
Yeah.
our mental health is another thing, right? And so when I talk about the toolbox, I need to remember that I need things that are addressing all of these things. Like I am okay. What are the things that I need to make sure that my body is baseline, good and healthy and decent? And what do I need for my mental health to be good and healthy and decent? And what do I need for my spiritual self to be good, healthy and decent? And so I cannot not do one of these things. I need to do all of these things, right? And so over the years, I have, like, I mean, there are some advices that are going to be relevant to everybody, which is that make sure you drink enough water, you sleep well at night, and don't miss your prayers. Make sure you have a portion of Quran that you read every day. And then for your mental health, have a gratitude journal, or at least whatever that helps you, just take deep breaths and like all these things, right? But I feel like you have to know yourself really, really well, to know what you need in the moment to get back to baseline calm. And it's not always going to be just the spiritual things. Like, yes, you should read your Quran, yes, but you cannot just expect, like, sometimes these things cannot be just found on the prayer mat. You have to, like, if you feel the most calm in your life you ever felt is when you are swimming, then go and swim. Don't like, ya Allah, blah blah blah, and then Allah is like, I already told you, not already told you, but you already know swimming is your thing. Why are you not doing it? And stuff like that.
Right.
And for me,
Okay.
yeah, for me it's like, and because we think that, oh, that's not spiritual things, like, Allah never told us like, if you're feeling down or whatever, go to the masjid. No, he said, my signs everywhere. Travel, look, there's signs all around you, right? And so if your current environment is not conducive to you feeling awe at Allah or grateful to Allah, then go and do the things that makes you feel like that. And for me, that is being in nature, and specifically being in the mountains. That is when I really feel Allah's awe, and I'm so grateful, and I'm just like, yes, I'm a tiny little thing amongst all these things, and I feel His presence. And so I'm never going to get that at my prayer mat at my house. Like, it's just not going to be the same. Yes, it doesn't mean that I don't pray. I have to pray, yes, but then it means that I need to make sure that I set aside time for me to be in nature, so that I get that feeling of like, wow, like Allah Subhanallah, right? Like you cannot intermingle these things, like. And I think we tend to, like, we feel like, okay, when it comes to our spiritual issues, we do spiritual things, but actually spirituality is so much wider and bigger, and we are not just spiritual beings, but we are physical, and we have all these things. So
Love it.
that's my
I love it. Because right now, like I will now instill this toolbox analogy to my children, because you are very right. I love how you compartmentalize, spiritual, body, and mind, right? So
yeah.
I think that's very, very lovely. Okay, sis Amira, thank you so much for your time. Maybe you want to let the listeners know where to find more about you, or is there any upcoming new book that you want to share about?
Yes, so thank you so much again for like your time and like even inviting me to this. And if anybody found any benefit at all, in whatever I have shared, like please make a door for my parents, and for myself. Clearly, I need it a lot. You can find me on Instagram, Ameera Aslam Writes, and my third book came out early this year, so it's still quite new. If you haven't read it, really, I hope that you will get a copy. I also translated a book recently by Ustad Pahrul. I think it's called Finding Beauty in the Storm. And that one, if you are going through a storm in your life, that would be, I think, a great book. Honestly, I mean, I translated it, but of course, you already had really good content to begin with, right? I only helped to put it
Right.
in the English language. I'm hoping that I will write my next book, but yeah, if it does come out, whenever it comes out, then you will know about it through my Instagram, inshallah.
All right, we'll make dua for that. So the books are available. I mean, locally here, will be at Wardah, right?
Yes, Wardah, support
Okay.
Wardah.
Yay! I
Yeah.
love going to Wardah too. Alhamdulillah. Now, thank you once again, sis, for such an insightful session, and I appreciate the time that you have spent so much, for us all. So
Thank you for doing
thank
this,
you for
and
being here with us.
congratulations to Perista 10 years.
Yay! Thank you. Another 10 years too, inshallah. I mean,
I mean, inshallah.
okay.
Thank
Thank
you very much.
you.